Got Your Back pod stream is brought to you by Mr. Dirk. From casual wear to suits and formals, Mr. Dirk helps you find the perfect fit with the right look for any occasion. Step up your wardrobe at MrDirk.com.
That is one ginormous step in the wrong direction for the Edmonton Oilers. Wow. A team that thought it was getting its game in order, coming off a brutal losing streak, feeling a little better about itself, and they get smoke showed by the Anaheim Ducks. Welcome to Got Your Back, folks. Lots for us to dive into. Oilers made a trade today as well, so I don't know. Should we just forget about the game and talk about the trade for the next hour? I'm sure some of you would not mind. No, we're going to chew on all of it. Jason Strudwick is standing by. Rob Brown, we will get to in a little bit. We got Stevie Taylor, just Steve, simply Steve, man in the controls in Kelowna. Looking forward to a great show tonight, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, it is brought to you by our title sponsor, Play Alberta. Why choose Play Alberta? Well, just ask any hockey fan who loves odds boosts and player props and same-game parlays or slots players who love the massive jackpots or lottery players that can grab last-minute tickets on the go. Deposit today. Get a $50 free bet with the code GYB03. That is GYB03 at playalberta.ca. I am mobile tonight, coming at you from the Mobile Adrenaline Diesel Studio, Edmonton's premier heavy-duty diesel truck repair shop specializing in powertrain tuning, performance, and parts sales. Visit adrenalinediesel.ca. I am mobile. Struds is also mobile, coming at us from I don't know, Struds. I can't decide. Is it a prison cell? Is it a closet? Is everybody else asleep and you've just found a small little dark corner to do the show from? Where are you?
Yeah, it looks like I'm in a witness protection program right now, so I can't reveal exactly where I am. It's in a deep basement, the sub-basement, actually.
Yeah.
Blink twice if you're okay, Struddy.
Yeah. So no, I'm actually in Penticton, and my son's hockey team's in the playoffs, and I help coach, so we're here. But it's the lighting isn't great, but actually it gives me a nice jawline. I'm pretty happy with it.
It does, actually. And it's, the forehead isn't as shiny as normal.
Right.
It's not terrible. Stevie, how are you, buddy? We haven't seen you a little bit. Great to have you on the show. What's going on? What's new?
No, life is good. It's funny. I was just in Penticton myself right before Struddy was. We pretty much passed each other in the air. I actually walked by Struddy's son outside of the South Okanagan Event Center, so that was kind of cool. And, we had playoffs of our own, lost in the finals, but that's okay. We're hosting provincials, so it didn't really matter anyway. But, doing well until tonight's game, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that have to be scratching their heads after this one. This was not the direction the team was supposed to be pointed in coming back off that road trip. So I guess maybe we'll just get to it here, Struds. And just so you know, folks, of course, we're going to talk about the trade. We'll probably do the trade at the tail end of our takeaways segment. So we'll get the breakdown done here, then we'll get takeaways. Brownie will hop in. I want Brownie along for the ride as we're discussing the trade, the acquisition of Frederick today. So lots of that coming up. Brownie points in Struddy's world and take a lap. We'll go around the league. Lots of show ahead. But can't put it off any longer, Struds. Let's break this pig down, courtesy our friends at the Alberta Ram Dealers.
The 2025 Ram 1500 is Motor Trend's Truck of the Year. Visit your Alberta Ram dealer to get into this award-winning truck at a competitive price. Capable, stylish, powerful Ram.
All righty. First 10 minutes was okay, Struds. Then it came off the rails. And we'll dive into the details about what happened and how it came off the rails. But I got to tell you, buddy, it is a concerning amount lately to me that we have been hearing words like deflated and fragile. And this is supposed to be a veteran team. This is supposed to be an older, experienced team that is supposed to be able to pull itself up when it is getting down. yet this last, I don't know how long, man, 3 weeks, whatever it is. And once again tonight, post-game Struddy, we're hearing a lot of deflated and fragile words being used. Not a good sign.
No, it isn't. And it's interesting because obviously their confidence right now is shaken. It happens. It happens to everyone. Great goal scorers, fighters, defenders, goalies, everything. It happens. But I think that there's a path out of just focusing on one or two areas. And I think we'll have to talk about it, but the D zone coverage is, and even back checking is really loose right now. And they're giving up goals that shouldn't be given up. Like chances that shouldn't be chances, quite frankly, Shogger.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so Struddy, what did you see after they had that 1-0 lead when the breakdown started to come, and just some tough stuff in the D zone, a little bit of goaltending? Like maybe just take us through the dismantling of their night.
Yeah, so to do that, I have to kind of go. I got to go back and look at the goal, not look at them, but just refresh my memory. So let's start with the first goal. Leo Carlston just beats Darnell Nurse off the wall. Right, just beats him right off the wall. The puck goes to the wall. He jumps to the middle, and Darnell, you can see he tries to get back in there, but he's too late. So, rule number one: play on the inside of your guy. Always on the inside of the ice. So there's a goal that didn't have to happen. Then you go to Mason McTavish's goal. I believe this is the one where it's off the rush. Then two D-men are behind the net. Leon goes down there with him, leaving McTavish all by himself in front. Oh, no.
That was the one where I think he shot through Emberson, right?
He shot through Emberson. So that one, I think I put that on the netminder. I think that's on the netminder. What did you think?
So? I wondered if, like, Emberson seemed to be back in kind of far, and then I thought maybe it went through him. I agree. Like, a save there would have been awesome. I wondered if the shot went through him a little bit, and I couldn't, even on the replays, it was a little bit hard to tell. But not ideal on a couple of fronts there.
No, so I guess you're talking about Ty Emberson. It's always hard as a D-man when someone comes down and then they pull the puck goes back up. You have to re-gap, so that means you have to go back up the ice, and he doesn't really do that. So now he has a big gap, and your de facto is to back in on the goalie, and so it gives that player more room. In this case, McTavish, to walk in and shoot it. I wonder if it didn't go off a pad or off someone's pants, but anyways, it goes in the net. I think there's a play a D-man could do better there, and I think the netminder can make a save. Then he got the face-off goal.
Yeah. The Colangelo goal, I think, was the one that went off Kulak's skate, right?
Goes off Kulak's toe. So let's just chalk that up to bad luck, and we'll give the guys a break now. Can maybe get out into that shooting lane a little bit better, but it's going wide. It hits Kulak's toe and literally redirects into the net. Then we got Mason McTavish's goal I kind of spoke about earlier, where there's 3 players behind the net and McTavish is all by himself. And, that's just hockey 101, right? Like I don't believe you need to outman the guys behind the net when there's someone in front of your net. You take the guy in front of the net, and ultimately he scores. A back check goal. Ryan Strome gets away from Draisaitl. And Draisaitl, gets away from Draisaitl. Backdoor tap, and you can tell Leon knew that was his guy. Then Alex Killorn, the big guy, what's his name? Klingberg pinches, and I don't believe that the forwards recognize that. Killorn gets in behind them. Nuge, I believe it was his guy, doesn't see that and kind of skates over towards the puck. Puck goes from where he was to where he was supposed to be. And there's a breakaway for Killorn, and actually a really nice move by him. So, that's all of them were 5-on-5 goals, which is a rough one. But, we'll take away the one that I think it was the second goal. Even take away, let's take away 2 of them, right? The shot that maybe should have been saved and the point shot off the face-off, Colangelo. So that's 4 goals that, quite honestly, Shogger, I feel the Oilers gifted Anaheim. A team that's played better and got some jump in their legs and playing pretty well. But those are 4 defendable goals against. And now we're talking about a different game here at the end of the night.
Leon Draisaitl's had a Hart Trophy-worthy season. He's been fantastic. This might have been his worst game of the night. That back check was, wow, was that something? We're not going to spend a ton of time piling on to him other than to say that, he was one of many players that had a terrible night, probably his worst night of the year. So there is that. Excuse me. Certainly some frustration crept into his game. You see him slamming the stick and getting pretty upset. Struds, why don't we get to the Weiss Johnson soundbox? Because there's a clip from Chris Noblock that I want to get to right away. So let's get to the Weiss Johnson soundbox, buddy.
The Weiss Johnson Soundbox is brought to you by our good buddies over at Weiss Johnson Heating and Air Conditioning. It's time for a new furnace, garage heater, or hot water tank. Weiss Johnson's here for all your home comfort needs. Specialized in servicing your existing systems or installing new ones. Visit weissjohnson.com today. Hit it!
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
Nice. All over the jingle tonight after a subpar last show.
Rough.
Disrespecting Weiss Johnson. So the question I wanted to get to Chris Noblock was about, the ups and downs here and all this talk of being fragile, all this talk of being deflated, and what the heck is up with this group that was so good earlier in the year. Here's the coach.
Probably a tough one to answer, but there were times during this season where, like you said, the group just seemed, very resilient. And one of the best teams in the league for a stretch there. And then you've got this little stretch here where so much of that confidence has fallen out. How concerning is it that the swings can be as big as they have been with a group that's supposed to be a veteran group and supposed to be more steady?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do, you look at just being able to handle adversity when things aren't going well, being able to get yourself out of it and score some goals. We're not getting a whole lot of offense unless 97 or 29 are on the ice. And when you're not getting that balanced attack and some more contributions, it makes it tough to come from behind or, win on a regular basis unless, your two best players are your best players every single night. And, as good as they are, and they're fantastic, we need some other contributions from other guys stepping up a little more.
Struds, I love that answer from him. I did not ask him about depth scoring, secondary scoring. I did not ask him specifically about Zach Hyman and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Victor Arvidsson and Adam Henry. I did not ask that question. That is the answer that he gave about why this team is struggling to find its footing. And I like the fact that he, in his Chris Noblock way, took it there anyway.
Yeah, I think he knows what he wants to say, and he's got the message. And I think good people that manage the media, when they are dealing with the media, they can manage them and get the message out that they want to get out. Steer it away from the netminders. Maybe steer away from their captain who hasn't maybe been performing the way he wants, and talk about the rest of the group. By my count, the other forwards had 10 shots tonight. Outside of those top two guys, I might be off a little bit, but you get the point. So, they need to, the rest of the guys have to contribute. And we saw it, I think last game wasn't Henrique and Perry both scored. It makes a difference. And I think last year they were getting, some contributions around that lineup more often at times. So, and Hyman, and Nuge, so these guys, they need to find another gear. And maybe start thinking more offensively, right? Let's get in there and really get to that blue paint and try to score.
Yeah. I mean, they go about it in different ways. Zach Hyman, it looks better with him because he's naturally a digger and naturally a pretty hard worker. So he makes it look better for sure. But neither of them is anywhere near the level they need them at for this team to hit the level they want to be at. And I'll focus again on Nugent Hopkins. Not only are the numbers not coming, but I don't love the lack of willingness to, try and take it upon himself to make things happen. He just, to me, is a player that's skating around waiting for other people to make things happen rather than playing the game in a way where, you elevate yourself to make things happen. He's waiting for stuff to happen around him, Struds. He's better than this. And they need him, and it hasn't been enough from him. And there's other guys too, but man, when I think about what you've shown in the past you're capable of versus what you're putting out now in a tough time, and it hasn't been good enough from Nugent Hopkins, and Hyman isn't that far behind right now. So those are two key players that round out the top 4 or 5 forwards on this team that have to get themselves sorted out here.
Yeah, they do. And to steal a line from Dallas Aikens, what did he say about Nuge? He lowered his eyes or something, or put his shoulder down, whatever it was. Like
I don't
he
know.
was
He's
writing
squinted his eyes
poetry.
or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Um, but I think there's another gear there. But I do think that these two things go together, the confidence and their play. And I sound like a broken record, but if you're not feeling great about your game, just go back to what you do. What do I do well? Well, when I think of Nugent Hopkins, I think of a guy who's really smart but can skate, and then he's opportunistic on the way he gets in there and on the forecheck. So do those three things, and then I guess the last thing would be take the puck to the net, get on the inside and try to take the puck to the net, and just those basic things, and then see what happens from there. And you'd be surprised that things might start opening up for you. But it's it's not going to change in one shift.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you say he gets in there on the forecheck? Were you talking about Hyman by then?
No. I was saying figure out what he can do to be, like what are the basic things I do that when I'm doing them well, where I'm my best version of myself. And I think, putting pressure on the D-men, right? Like you have to press people with your speed. Use your speed and get there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Nugent Hopkins is, there hasn't been much forechecking there for quite some time from him. There's, skating guys around and waving sticks at him, but in terms of what a real forecheck is supposed to look like, it just hasn't been there from him. Rob Brown checking in. Brownie, Struds and I are in the middle of breaking it down here, buddy. We've talked a little bit about Draisaitl, off night for him, kind of acknowledge that. But the concern level for me is the number of times we're hearing fragile and deflated. And then Chris Noblock talked tonight about the lack of secondary scoring and help. But this is supposed to be a veteran group, Brad, that is supposed to ride the waves a little steadier than this.
I agree, and I heard you ask the question, and you guys talked about it with Noblock. This was a team that was, when they were down 2 goals early in the game or 3 goals at any time, they always had the confidence of coming back. This is a team that the Oilers are one of the teams in the National Hockey League that usually plays with swagger. I mean, there's a cockiness about them at times when things are going well. So that's what's so shocking about the fragility of this team is where did it come from and how did it all of a sudden just appear? And the other thing that you just mentioned there with Noblock saying secondary scoring, yes, there has to be more. But to me, that's not even close to the biggest problem for the Oilers. The biggest problem for the Oilers is their defensive play. You can have secondary scoring, but now you're asking the third and fourth liners to score 5 more goals tonight. They gave up 6 even strength goals to the Anaheim Ducks. The Edmonton Oilers' defensive play in the last 13, 14 games has been horrible. Horrible. How often do you see Leon Draisaitl get a breakaway in a game? How often? And the Oilers are giving up an average of 2 breakaways against every game. So this is just a team that they might be fragile. They might not get secondary scoring. But right now, they are just an absolute mess defensively, giving up grade A scoring chances against. And until that gets fixed, they're going to be fragile. And I don't care how good their secondary scoring is, they're not going to win hockey games.
Struds?
Yeah, it's so true. And, it's the thing about defensive hockey, it's not skills. It's just determination and then wanting to do it. I mean, Brown, I went through all the goals and the mistakes. Darnell gets beat off the wall. Leon goes behind the net. Leon gets beat. And I think this is his worst game of the year, and he's had a lot of good ones. They're not getting back on the back check. Nugent Hopkins losing track of when the D-man pinched, Klingberg pinched. You just go, and these aren't the fourth. Tonight it was in the third and fourth liners. This was the top guys. They're losing track of those moments, guys.
And Stride's a good point. Yeah. A good point on that one too. Was at times they look confused out there, and no better moment than if you watch a replay of the breakaway for the 6th goal, and you talked about Nugent Hopkins losing track of Klingberg pinching. When Nugent Hopkins turns and looks, he is absolutely shocked There's no defenseman there,
Yeah.
and Anaheim's got a breakaway. So, I mean, there's confusion, and you shouldn't have confusion at game 60 of the season. So, this was as tough a night as I've seen the Oilers have in a long, long time, and they're in a stretch of a lot of tough nights.
Yeah, they really are. I was a little bit surprised because if you watch the way that played out, Nugent Hopkins actually did cover for Klingberg, who went down deep. He kind of hung back there at the blue line. He knew he was the cover guy there. He just drifted too far into the middle of the ice and got exposed in behind him. Like he knew what his assignment was and still drifted off the play and ended up getting exposed. So attention to detail, and it's a great point, Brownie, that it's or Struds, whichever of you made it, that it was some of the top end guys that were making those mistakes. Pretty significant leap in the wrong direction here, Brownie. Like they were trying to convince themselves their game was getting a little bit back in order coming off of that road trip. Their last 2 games they would say they felt a little bit better about. But this is just such a gigantic about face. I mean, just to lose this game to this team on this night after that losing streak, that has to be concerning. This is more than just a little bump in the road. The mojo isn't there. The defensive play has fallen to a point where I don't know, you just flip a switch and go back to being the defensive team you were before, because they were a good defensive team before, but it's been gone for a while here.
It has, Schauger. It's been gone since when they won 6-2 against the Vancouver Canucks. They were playing fantastic hockey. Since then, defensively, they have not been good at all. The only thing I'll challenge about the last 2 games of the road trip and what they could build off of, I thought the battle and compete level in those games were very good, but defensively they weren't. I mean, Calvin Pickard was outstanding and had to be outstanding against Carolina, or they would have lost. Carolina was the better team in that game. Now, there was a lot of good things about the compete and the battle and guys doing whatever it took, but they still gave up grade A chance after grade A chance. Pickard absolutely stoned a bunch of the star players. I mean, Connor McDavid gave up a shorthanded breakaway with less than a minute to go in a hockey game. Like, that can't happen, ever. So, again, there were things to build off of compete-wise, the way they competed those last 2 games, but still, it was at times a train wreck defensively in those as well. And tonight just carried on, and the fragile part that Noblock's talking about, and you keep mentioning, is when it was a 1-0 game, everything seemed all right. They score the power play. Connor looks like Connor tonight. This is when it turns around. Then Leon, big turnover. Huge turnover. It's 1-1. Quiets the crowd a little bit. The bench is a little tired. And then when McTavish scored to make it 2-1 on a goal, that's one Pickard needs to have. That's when all of a sudden you saw the fragility of the team. It just, from then on, they were done. Yeah. Like, Anaheim completely took over a hockey game, and you're thinking, it's the Anaheim Ducks, who are not going to make the playoffs, who the Oilers at times have beat for fun, and this is the same Oiler team that for a stretch of 35 games were the best team in the NHL. How can they be that fragile when they give up 1 goal? At that point, it's only 2-1. It's 2-1 with, 48 minutes to go in the game, yet they were fragile. And that is, as you said, Schauger, that would be the concerning thing. With only 20 games, 21 games to go in the season, you're like, if adversity against the Anaheim Ducks in a 2-1 game with 48 minutes to go, that's how the Oilers respond there. How will they respond against the LA Kings when the LA Kings go up 2-1 in the middle of a second period of a playoff game? So this is something that I never would have expected out of this group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think though. I think what's happening right now is I think they're looking for reasons for things to go bad. And I thought that your point about the compete is really good, Brownie, and I agree. And usually that's what starts you digging out of a trench or a dumpster, and then the rest of your game falls into place. And they didn't really compete tonight, or at least not enough guys were. And then you had those 2 things happen that, quite honestly, were self-inflicted. The first 3 goals for sure. And then you're like, okay, well, what are we going to do now? And then we'll just look for bad things to happen.
Somebody after the game had talked about them digging themselves a hole, and then somebody else brought up, what did Mac T always say? When you're in a hole, stop digging, because it's not digging more. And the Oilers can't seem to find a way to stop digging and actually just crawling out of the hole. Okay, here's what I want to do, Struds. We'll go to the Weiss Johnson soundbox again here and listen to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, but I'm just about home. So let's run that Nugent-Hopkins clip. You guys discuss, and then Struds, you guys have Relentless Player and the poll, and I'll hop back in from the home computer.
Sweet, buddy. All right, let's hear from Nuge right now. Hit it.
I mean, 2 good games to finish. Obviously, didn't get the win in Florida, but competed, played better tonight. First 10, like Reed said. I mean, that's kind of was our MO there, but got away from it. We can't let that happen. We've talked about it a lot lately. Is just continue to bring energy on the bench, talk to guys in the room. Same thing. So that's something that we gotta keep trying to get better at.
I mean, Brownie, I don't know if it's tough because the energy is hard, and I've been on teams that are sliding and creating energy. People think it's easy, but it's not. I mean, scoring first is great, and then you want to try to follow that up with another couple good shifts. But there's got to be some chatter on the bench to kind of get you up and running and feeling better about yourself and keep you running, Brownie. Because right now they're running on empty in the energy meters.
You're right, and there's certain things that can create energy. You talk about goals. That's one thing. A big hit, a fight, but also big personalities. There's teams that go out and find players that have big personalities that create energy themselves. They just, in a positive way. They're loud in the dressing room. They're loud on the bench. When things are going wrong, that's the personality you want out to loosen everything up. I don't know if the Oilers have that. And so when things start to go sideways, all of a sudden they start getting, as he says, fragile or angry. Tonight, I saw Leon 3 times leave the ice and bang a stick against the boards. He was not happy in himself, and rightfully so, and in the way things were going. So they need maybe this Frederick trade, maybe when he eventually gets in, but we might not see him for weeks. So you have to have energy. You have to have emotion. It is impossible, Struds, and you know it, to play in the National Hockey League and have success if you play without emotion. And I'm seeing right now an Oiler team that really, really lacks emotion.
Yeah, emotion and fun. Like there's no fun being had out there, right? And I get it. Leon or Connor scores his goal late. I've never seen him skate faster to the bench, and I don't blame him. You shouldn't be high fiving in there, but they are not having fun right now. And I know people are like, oh, they shouldn't have fun. They're losing, but unfortunately, fun is kind of the precursor to get yourself going. That creates energy that now brings the transfers to the ice, and we've kind of been through it. Okay, let's talk about relentlessness. The Relentless Player brought to you by UCAN Youth Services, an Edmonton charity that is relentless in providing possibility for the youth in our community. Mental health is the foundation for growth and success and the key to thriving, not just surviving. With 2 in-house counselors providing free therapy sessions, our youth have support while they navigate their struggles and rediscover their strength. Visit ucan.ca to donate today. And I got to say, it brings tears to my eyes when I see a D-man with +3. It's a great thing. +4, and honestly, I'm just bewildered with joy. I'm all over the place. But when someone's +5, I'm just so happy for them. And then they're +5 times 2. Both partners today, Jackson Lacombe and Racco Gudis, were +5, and Jackson can only get 3 assists for the Anaheim Ducks. Lacombe is a good player. I'm not sure if anyone's in a fantasy draft, but you might want to grab this guy. He is going to be, or he is a really good D-man. But being +5, Brownie, as a D-man and both partners, that is a D-man's, that's the best dream you can have. I'm telling you right now.
Hey, well, I like how you changed your wording there from the text earlier. That's kind of fun. But no, it's funny, and you and I both know from experience, a -5 is more common than a +5. It just is. It's hard to battle back. Like you'll have, like, for example, Matt Savoy tonight, -4, had nothing to do with any of the goals against, and he's a -4. And now it's going to take them 20 games, 30 games to be able to jump over that. So when all of a sudden you have a +5 game, Jackson Lacombe was +4 coming into the game. He's now +9. He had more pluses tonight than he did in the previous 60 games combined. They were fantastic. I'm going to talk about them in Brownie points, but you and I were texting back and forth. We know what Gudis is as a hockey player, and he's a guy every team wants a Radek Gudis on their team. He plays there at the end of the night. There's not an ounce of sweat left in him. There's not an ounce of emotion or energy. He lays it all on the line, but that Jackson Lacombe, is he fun to watch? And I really like the word that you used about him when we were talking during the game. He's subtle. He's a guy there's flashy guys that you notice at the end of the night. Oh, I really notice him. But Jackson Lacombe, he's a guy that you have to watch. And when you watch him, you will say, oh my goodness, he just makes all nice, smart, subtle plays. Never puts himself in the wrong position. Always gets pucks out. Yeah, that pairing was fantastic tonight.
So good. Yeah, and I think that a comparison would be like Lane Hudson. Lane Hudson is going to be on the highlights every night, whereas Jackson Lacombe is just going to be, in your top pairing, doing the right thing. And you can see this team. I think you can start, if you squint hard enough for the Ducks, you can see the light down the tunnel. It's coming. They seem to have got it going, and this trade deadline will be interesting for them. Okay, Brownie, let's get to our YouTube poll brought to you by DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center. The snow is melting and golf season will soon be here. I cannot wait. 2025 equipment is now fully loaded into fitting carts. DeBoer's is booking fittings 10 days in advance, so call now to get your spot. Get fit to play your best golf by the team dedicated to helping you play better golf. Visit them at 5311 99th Street in Edmonton. I was just there the other day. I think I'm going to go and take a look at some wedges. Got to get this lob wedge going. Mr. Steve, what do you got going on for us tonight, buddy?
Okay, so this is about the Frederick trade and the acquisition. So we're simply asking fans what they think about it. So the question simply is, what do you think of the Frederick trade? And the 4 options for answers are, I love it, it's fine, I don't love it, or I hate it.
Yeah, big trade. So we'll get into this, and we want to hear from you, the listener, obviously, and all our listeners, see where we're at. But we'll get into the details. There was a lot going on, but I think this is a good move for the Oilers. I think, and unfortunately, just an update. It sounds like he's going to be out a couple of 3 weeks, Brownie. So that might change it a little bit, as far as you getting to play with their new shiny toy.
Well, yeah, you're all excited about the new player, and he's exactly what the Oilers are missing. They're missing physicality, energy, a little bit of nastiness. I mean, the Oilers are dead last in hits, and Schauger points it out all the time. So they went out and got a guy that does hit, but you're not going to see it for a while. It's almost like on Christmas morning, your mom and dad tell you, here's what we got you for Christmas. It's not delivered till April, but you're going to really love playing with it 4 months from now. So I do believe it was a nice addition. We will see if they gave up too much to get him, because there was a lot of pieces that went out the other way. But right now, no team in the National Hockey League are going to do the Edmonton Oilers a favor. You're going to have to really empty the bank account or empty your cupboard if you want a team to help you. Frederick will be a nice addition to this team. You just wish you could see him a little bit earlier than 3, 4, whatever weeks away that he is.
Yeah, building chemistry will be interesting with his line mates when he doesn't get to play with them for a while. Okay, but let's just take a quick pause here. We'll get Schauger back online. Brownie can, keep doing what he does, driving home, and we'll get into takeaways, and I'm sure get into this pretty big trade for the Oilers that happened today. That and more next.
At Gallery Dental, we believe in blending exceptional care with artistry to create the perfect smile for you. From routine cleanings to advanced cosmetic procedures, our team is dedicated to providing top-notch care in a relaxed and comfortable environment. With state-of-the-art technology and a passion for perfection, we ensure that every visit is a positive experience. Join the Gallery Dental family and let us help you achieve a smile that you'll love to show off. Contact us today at secolandentistry.com.
So at Timberhouse, our guiding philosophy is naturally inspired living. We believe that through design, we can solve problems and enhance people's lives. We follow biophilic design principles in all of our builds to incorporate natural materials, natural light, to enhance all the spaces in a home. When you have your space perfectly reflect who you are and what you value, and it's made well, we think that that just leads to better living.
Oh, sorry, Shogger. It says you're in the green room. It's doing that thing again. I'll bring you in.
All right, you got me now. Time now for takeaways, brought to you by Martin Motorsports. There's a new 2026 Skidoo model to give you an extra dose of adrenaline. Born and made right in Canada, Skidoos are made for Canadian winters. Reserve your 2026 ride today at Martin Motorsports and get an exclusive 4-year warranty on select models. Visit Martin Motorsports today on the South or West Edmonton side. Or online at martinmotorsports.ca. It looks like a ton of fun. Supposed to be getting some more snow coming here as well. Sorry to hear that, but not if you've got one of those bad boys. Okay, it was the subject of our poll, and we will talk more about tonight's game, but let's get into the trade, gentlemen of the day. Stan Bowman jumping the gun by a couple of days here on the NHL trade deadline. He brings in a player that style-wise, I think we all agree the Oilers could use some of what he brings. It's been greatly lacking. We'll hear from a couple of the Oilers tonight as well on this edition. But I think Strud's bottom line here, it cost a little bit for Bowman to be able to get this salary cut in half multiple times. And, you know, that's just the cost of doing business. And if you're the Oilers and you need to get that salary cut not once but twice, it's going to cost you some. So this second-round pick, you know, pretty valuable asset that ends up getting moved. You know, and then a pretty good draft choice in Shane Lachance, although word is may not have been willing to sign with the Oilers. Sometimes those college guys from out that direction, but having a really good year this year in Lachance. Fourth-round pick as well. And then Warner, who had kind of gone the wrong way a little bit this year, but still, I think, was viewed as a guy that maybe, you know, had a chance to play at a certain point here. But Strud's, you know, when you're dollar in, dollar out, you're just going to have to pay assets to bring in less money on the cap, and that was the case here.
Yeah, so I mean, this is exactly what they needed, and the Bruins knew that this is what they need, and so I'm sure they weren't the only team calling for him. And they got him. Now, Shane Lachance, I played with his dad, and I've kind of followed his career. I think this guy has a chance of being an NHL player. Big body, moving better every year. But listen, you moved out quite a bit. I'm wondering if they won't be able to sign him. I think that would be a big part of it, much like we saw with Kulak, how they extended him or got him signed up. I'd like to think that they can do the same with this player because, you know, who knows what happens with Kane. Maybe he takes that spot. If you're not familiar with him, he's big, like 6'3", 210, 215, like doesn't mind fighting, and he brings energy to the game. And I think he'd be a guy that brings energy to this dressing room. And he's right in that sweet spot. He's like 27 years old, 28. So I have no idea what the extension will look like, but I know he's got a pretty decent number right now at I think it was 2.8 or 2.7 shock or somewhere in there. And
even lower, I think.
So,
yeah.
Was it? Okay, well, I think he's. I think if they're able to sign, listen. I think he helps the team short term and long term. He's a player I definitely look at re-signing. Brownie.
Well, you and I talked earlier about what the Oilers lack at times because it's a quiet team. It doesn't have a loud personality or an energetic personality. Someone that can go throw a big hit or get into a fight. Right now, the guy doing that's 39-year-old former 50 goal scorer. I mean, that's not what he's supposed to be doing. So now they brought in someone else because the Oilers aren't able to manufacture energy on their own. So they need someone to go out there and create energy, create emotion, create enthusiasm, get the crowd into it with a big hit or a fight to somehow pump up the bench. Because as we've seen in too many games that when things go sideways, the Oilers bench sags and they're having a hard time getting that energy back up. Frederick will help the team. I don't know where he's going to be slotted in. He will help the team, but the Oilers have other big holes as well. This is just putting your finger on one of the holes, but this was a move that the Oilers needed to make, and hopefully he's healthy enough that we can see him at some point before the playoffs to see what kind of chemistry he can have with his line mates.
Where would you guys slot him in? Let's say he was healthy tonight. Like he was healthy tonight. Where would you sign, or next game, whatever? Where would you put him?
In all honesty right now, and I don't think this is where he should be playing, but I would have had him with Leon Draisaitl, simply because there's no one else on this roster right now that has played well enough when playing with Leon that deserves a spot ahead of him. So I would have put him with Leon Draisaitl.
Shaggy?
Yeah, that's interesting. Like 17 and 18 goals his last couple of seasons, so he's shown he can bang them in, and Leon Draisaitl will turn a 18-goal scorer into a 25-goal scorer, pretty easily. But that's an interesting point, Brownie. Like, is he a guy that on this team could actually moonlight up in your top six? Not ideal, and I don't think that's the design, but based on what the competition is, probably, because it's not a very high bar to all of a sudden find yourself skating next to Leon Draisaitl. I think, excuse me, the other hole, and we've all watched them try and fill it here, is in the fourth line center position. And they've had Janmark in there. They've tried Kapanen in there. They've tried to go Nugent Hopkins and then Henrique at the 3-4 spots. He is a center, not great in the face-off circle, and is a natural center. Has played a ton of that. So I wonder if, fourth line center is something they have an eye on, but Strud's not the worst idea in the world to see if maybe he can play a little bit higher.
Yeah, so I've been kicking this around all day when I saw this trade this morning. And I guess, guys, my concern, and I've been this before. I've been this guy, not as good as him, but okay, we need you to go out and play hard. You got to hit everything in the world. We're going to give you 8 minutes. What? 8 minutes? You want me to do that? You want me to play every 15 minutes? I can't even feel my legs. So my concern is that they're going to say, yep, this is exactly what we need. We're going to put you on the fourth line, and you're going to play your 8-9 minutes, and we need you to be just an absolute animal. I think he's got to be at least 12 minutes a night. I know that's a lot, but if you want him to impact the game, that's 4 minutes a period, guys. 4 minutes that we're talking about. So that would be my floor. And I know Noblock manages the minutes. He looks at the minutes. And Brownie, we come from a little bit different place here as far as, offensive and then a bit more, aggressive. But you can't ask someone to do something in 8 minutes a night. It just doesn't happen. So they got to find him. So at least I have him on the third, at least beside Henrique. That's my minimum spot.
Yeah.
No, you're right, Strud. You're absolutely right. I mean, to have any impact on what the Oilers do in a hockey game, you have to give them an opportunity to make an impact. And getting 2 shifts a period, in those 2 shifts, nothing may happen. I mean, the puck never gets sent into your corner. The puck never gets out of your own zone to do what you need to do. So that, to me, they're just, the Oilers are so weak on the wings that to me, it's like, give him a shot on your second line. Now, again, he shouldn't play on your second line. He is probably a third line banger that you would put out there as a checking line guy and just frustrate someone else. But they're getting zero production out of their wingers playing with Leon. Give him a shot. And the only thing that scares me, Shogger, about him being center of your fourth line is he's at 43% in faceoffs. You ice the puck by mistake with them out there, all of a sudden, here comes McKinnon's line out, or here comes Eichel's line out for an offensive faceoff against a guy who's not good in the draw. And it's funny, the one memory I have of Frederick was when he was with the Bruins, the puck got iced, and he was sent out to take the faceoff and lost it clean to Leon, and the Oilers scored right afterwards. I'm thinking, why is that guy taking the faceoff? I looked up his stats. He's not good at draws. So that's the one thing that scares me about fourth line center with him is you want a centerman in that role that you have confidence with and trust with. I don't think you have that with him at winning draws.
Yeah, I think we'll see him play a lot more wing than he does down the middle. 1350 a night. He was playing in Boston. Immediately becomes the most active hitter on the Oilers. His hits per 60 puts him basically in first place. Not that that is a significant bar to try and hurdle. The other part of the deal, too, was Max Jones. And I don't know that we should just completely overlook this player. He was a 24th overall pick quite a while ago. I mean, he's, how old is he?
Same
27 years old now. Yeah, so it's been a little while for him. But I don't think we should just overlook this player, because I think that there is, from what I understand, I mean, like, moves pretty good. Also isn't afraid to go to the body. And I guess what I'd say is that if you're Kapanen, if you're Connor Brown, there are a number of guys who I feel like this player, the bar isn't very high for him to get in and compete for minutes against some of the bottom end players on this team, Brownie. And when Savoy gets sent down here at some point, perhaps he is the one that gets called up.
Well, a good point. And it also shows you the lack of production, the lack of physicality, the lack of gamesmanship that the Oilers have had in their bottom six. That a guy who couldn't make a bad Boston Bruins team, because he's been in the minors all year long, he couldn't crack, and the Bruins aren't good. He couldn't crack their lineup, yet we're thinking, hey, that guy could be our fourth-line center. So the Oilers wouldn't have had to go get Frederick and Jones if they were getting what they wanted of their bottom six. And you were there when Chris Noblock, he pointed out that they need more production throughout their lineup. So he's not happy outside of, in all honesty, he's not happy with production outside of Leon and Connor. Because outside of those two, there's been zero consistency this year from the next 12 to 14 forwards that have played. So yeah, he's 6'3". The Oilers have no size on the bottom six. They got no physicality in the bottom six outside of Colson when he plays there. I think he will get a look, just because, as you said, the bar is very low.
If I'm Max Jones, I get called up. I run the Uber driver that picks me up. I run the locker room attendant when I come in there. I run the ice crew. I run every light I can find. I come in, I just run everybody. Every single person that I see, I run them over. And people are like, this guy's crazy. Like, yeah, I am. Put me out there. Like, if he doesn't, this guy, he'll get one game. One game, I'm guessing 8 to 10 shifts to prove that he can do it. If he doesn't, we'll never see him again. If he hits like I've seen him do before, he'll get another game. But that's the truth. He's got 8 to 10 shifts.
Are you sure?
To show us he can do it. Write that
down.
Sure,
Struds? You sure if he goes out there and throws a bunch of hits and plays physically that'll be recognized and he'll get another game?
So I know you're going with this, so don't put words in my mouth, because if he's not hitting, what is he doing out there? He's not doing anything.
I agree, bud. I agree.
No, but other players on this,
agree.
He's not going to kill penalties. He's not going to the power play. So you have to go out there and hit every single thing that moves. Run a linesman. Run anybody that gets in your way. Just run them over. And that's the facts. And he's got 8. So Brownie, I'm talking, he'll probably get 8, maybe 8 to 10 minutes, maybe, when he gets called up. And if not, you're going to love it in Europe next year, or in 2 years, I guess, because he has another deal.
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right, Struds. Read the room is what he's got to do. Read the room. What is this team missing? It's missing physicality. All right, I'm 6'3". I can do that. It's one of those things where you have this aha moment. Do I want to play in the NHL, or do I want to be a European player? It's like Raphael Lavoie. I mean, yeah, I got a great shot. They don't need your shot here. Hit someone. He never did, and he was gone. Here's another guy, big guy coming in. Hit someone, because you know what? You'll be noticed, and if Rishaug doesn't think the coach will notice you, the fans will, and that'll bring energy. That'll bring emotion, and that's something this team desperately needs.
I shouldn't say that he won't notice you if you're throwing hits. Like I think that he will. I just wish he would make it a little bit more of an expectation for everybody to at least think that way a little bit, and just try and make it something that. What's that, Struds?
Someone answered today. Darnell Nurse had 8 hits. right? So I believe that the team will start throwing more hits now. I really do feel that. I think we're at that point of the season, and everyone will start throwing more hits. It's really too bad that Frederick can't play now. Yeah.
Did you see? I don't know if were you at the game or you watched on TV?
No, I was on TV. Yeah.
Did you see when Connor McDavid tried running Trevor Zegras at the end of the period and missed?
No.
Oh my God! Did you see that one, Shogger?
Oh yeah.
Oh my! Like seriously, if the boards weren't there, McDavid would have been into where they're selling popcorn. He ran as fast as he could. Zegras jumped out of the way. I honestly thought that McDavid broke his hips because he hit right hip high and fell into the bench a bit. Connor McDavid got a little angry. So I agree with you, Struds. I do believe there will be some more physicality coming up. The fourth line tried being physical in the third period. But the thing was they were a little slow and they finished each check, but every time they did it, the Anaheim Ducks still got the puck out and came out with numbers.
Yeah. Do you have any issue tonight, Struds, with Zach Hyman getting dummied in the face a little bit there? And the person most in danger after that happened was the linesman because he had an angry Bouchard and Ekholm, or the ref, coming right at him. Bouchard and Ekholm just beelined right over to the ref to give him an earful while Hyman was picking his bloody chin up off the ice there.
Yeah, I think in that moment, someone has to get in there. But looking, who is it going to be? Let's just leave the D-men alone. Which forwards are the ones that are going to go over there and do it? On Radko Gudas.
Well,
that guy is strong. He's one of the strongest guys in the league.
Yeah. I mean, who was he out there with? I think he was out there with McDavid and Draisaitl, or I can't remember who else was on the ice. But anyway, just another one of those examples of nobody needs to go and square up with Gudas and go toe to toe or whatever. But maybe two or three guys skate into the corner and just kind of, nobody got within 15 feet of Gudas after he did that. And it was the ref that got an earful, from two guys that popped their mouth guards out and went and started chirping in the ref's ear. I don't know. Whatever. Just, we sort of see this over and over again. And I tell you what, Trent Frederick and Evander Kane, if they're both in your lineup come playoff time, this team gets a big injection of something significant that they're missing in a big way. Anything on that, Brownie?
Well, yeah, I 100%. This is not a physical team. And I also think they're a small team. And I think they're a slow team. The one thing that happened this summer, they became older, smaller, and slower. And it's quite noticeable right now. I don't know the Ducks that well as a team, but they sure looked a lot faster than the Edmonton Oilers in this hockey game. And I don't even think it was even close.
Yeah, good point. Okay, let's wrap up the conversation on Frederick with the Weiss Johnson Soundbox. Corey Perry, a welcome addition for Corey Perry.
That first.
Sorry, that's the wrong clip. Here we go.
Yeah, definitely. It's he's going to fit great into this group, and I'm talking to him today. He's excited, and we'll be happy to have him when he's ready.
You fought him already in January.
Yeah.
You mentioned that.
Yeah, I said I told him glad to have him on our side. He doesn't punch me in the head, so I get to watch him punch somebody else in the head.
Yeah, Corey Perry getting in the scrap earlier on this year against him. Quickly, guys, and we will talk more trade probably and ask us anything, but we're not sure what kind of cap space they're going to have to deal with here. We know that's still up in the air. But fair to say, Brownie, that with everything that you have seen, they have to prioritize upgrading the blue line here. They have to find a way to do that. And I'm not sure if at this point, if you can find someone to take Klingberg, if you move him and bring in someone that maybe use that space to bring in someone that could be a little bit more reliable than it looks like he might be able to be. I don't know exactly what the answer is, but this blue line, it feels like, will not hold when it gets tough.
No, I think you're right. I think they took a shot at Klingberg. He's not a top four defenseman now. You forced Emberson to play there. Emberson's not a top four defenseman. If you move Kulak up there, are you comfortable with Emberson and Klingberg and one of them playing on their off wing or offside? I'm not in a series against Vegas or LA or Colorado or Dallas. So yes, 100%. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I don't believe the Oilers' defense is as good right now as it was last year in the playoffs. I think it's a big step back. So they do need to improve that.
They miss Broberg. They miss his speed, right? His skating and his speed. So it's a tough spot to be. The problem is you got to keep giving assets to get people out and give them assets to bring them back in. Pretty soon you've got no assets. So,
Yeah.
No one's taking Klingberg for. Yeah, I can't say I'm going to say.
No, yeah.
So you're giving to get, and then you got to give to get back again.
Yeah.
So I don't know. At some point, the spending's got to stop, right? You can't just spend like a drunken sailor.
Well, and then you start your negotiation with Connor McDavid's camp in the off season, and you open the cupboards and you're like, look at all the reasons why it's going to be so bright here. And it's just empty cupboard, just flies and moths crawling around on the spilled honey in the cupboard.
But I'm assuming he's signing back. I can't see him not signing back. So you got to think about what are we doing here? What are we trying to build? So, there's a few decent prospects there, but you can't just keep trading away every year. And is this team close? That's another question maybe you have to ask. Are they close to winning a cup?
Good point.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I mean, look, if Connor McDavid finds his high-end game, if Evan Bouchard, when the playoffs start, kind of goes, oh, yeah, if he wakes up, that's too guys, it's about three things right now for me. Big picture here, like McDavid hasn't been where he needs to be. Evan Bouchard hadn't been where he needs to be.
Yeah.
And the goaltending has taken a big dip here. And defensively, for sure, it's been an issue. But if those three things, go back to just close to what they were before, it's a massive swing for this team. And I'm not sure if all three of them are going to change, if one of them, two of them, whatever. But those three things are big, big things, Brownie, that are mucking up this team right now.
Well, yes, and I have no doubt in my mind that Connor McDavid will be Connor McDavid come playoffs. I have huge doubts. Huge doubt. Yeah, I have huge doubts on Evan Bouchard. I really do. Is Evan Bouchard the Evan Bouchard that we saw in the playoffs, or is that an aberration? And Evan Bouchard is what we've seen all season long. I mean, there's been more sample size of Evan Bouchard playing like he is right now than there is of Evan Bouchard's playoffs run. The sample size is much bigger of Evan being okay offensively and a train wreck at times defensively. So I don't have any faith in that. As for goaltending, coin flip. Skinner's got the ability. He took them to Game 7 last year. He has the ability. But the way the Oilers are playing defensively right now, I don't think Stuart Skinner is a good enough goaltender at this point in his career to carry a team that is poor defensively. And that's what the Oilers are right now, and it's exposing Stuart Skinner.
All right, that was Takeaways brought to you by Martin Motorsports. We're a little long here, so we're going to rock into the break. We got Brownie Points and Struddy's World on the other side. We'll keep hustling along, but lots of great content still ahead on Got Your Back, presented by Play Alberta.
Join over 250,000 Canadians who have upgraded to Canada's best mattress. Douglas is proudly made in Canada and ships directly to your door for free. Douglas is easy to set up. Enjoy perfectly balanced comfort and an easy-to-clean machine washable cover. Get a free sleep bundle with your Douglas mattress. Try risk-free for 365 nights. Get your Douglas mattress today.
With over 18 years in the industry, Kelly Zaretsky and her team at Blue Summit Accounting deliver client-focused solutions and financial guidance for success in a simple and comfortable way. Whether it's for corporate or personal needs, Blue Summit Accounting can help with taxes, estate planning, financial services, bookkeeping, and more. Get in touch today. Email bluesummitacct@gmail.com or call 780-416-9662.
When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here. Someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy.
Guy look good.
All right, time now for Struddy's World, brought to you by Timberhouse Developments. When you become part of the Timberhouse family, you might be surprised just how close you'll get to the people and the process building the house. Most builders try and keep the customer at arm's length once the build starts. Not Timberhouse. You are the most important person in the home building process, and you will be treated as such. They got fantastic designs as well. Check it all out at timberhouse.ca. Struddy.
Seeing the trade today for Frederick, and I'm going to assume that Kane comes back. That's two more players up front, and Skinner, neither of them were in the lineup, and Skinner didn't play today. Guys, I feel it's time. It's best for everyone to understand that this relationship is no longer viable, and a trade needs to be made. I'd like to think for Skinner's benefit, there's been a conversation with him talking about what could happen, and he moving on. Because, if these one or both of them come back, it's only going to get harder, and they need players that are maybe unlike him, more like these bigger, heavier players to complement the other players that it seems like the coaching staff trusts or values more. So, guys, I know we're only a couple short days away from the trade deadline, but I still have a hard time seeing him being in this roster then. Now, the question is, I just talked about assets out to get him to go somewhere else, or someone take him. Maybe they have to keep some salary. I'm not sure. Gustav Nyquist got traded. So we'll see what happens. But I really think we're seeing the final 72 hours of this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Brownie, let's see you.
I've been adamant right from the beginning. Jeff Skinner is not going to play Game 83 for the Edmonton Oilers. I said it in November, December, January, February. Nothing's changed. The coaching staff does not have trust in him. He couldn't make your top six when you were missing Hyman and Kane, and you had all those injuries then, and Arvidsson was out. You're healthy scratching him for Matt Savoy, who I like him, but I mean, you're trying to decide what you need at the deadline, and he's a healthy scratch now. So I don't know how you get rid of his salary, but you do have a conversation with him because he controls it. He's got a no trade. And this is the one thing that when you sign a player to a contract, you give him a no trade, you better be pretty certain that this is a guy you want part of your team going forward, because he controls everything right now. And I feel for the guy because I do believe he can play at this level, but he does not fit into this organization. And as Struds just said, you're going to get at least two forwards coming back, if not more. Max Jones was probably going to play ahead of Jeff Skinner. So, yeah, you're right, Struds. If you can get him and his contract off your salary cap, good for the Oilers, because he's no longer part of any of their plans.
Steve, I know my picture dropped there, but can you still hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, not sure what happened there. We'll figure it out in our next break.
Okay.
Excuse me. Struds, it stopped making sense. At a certain point, what the player has given them hasn't equaled what the player gets back. Yeah. In other words, there was a certain point where Skinner was playing not bad and still was getting ripped from the lineup. Skinner scores a goal and gets ripped from the lineup. Skinner has good back checks and starts tightening it up in his own end, and Skinner gets pulled from the lineup. So when it's not making hockey sense, and a few times it hasn't, that just leads you to believe that something's busted here. It just hasn't worked. And that short of him just starting to bury a pile of goals, it feels like the fit is just not going to be there almost no matter what he does. Am I being too hard on the staff there, or did you not see the same thing where it stopped making sense, moves that were being made with him?
Yeah, I've been an advocate for his to try to get him up there more, and it's clear he's not. And so it's clear they want to rebuild or tinker in their bottom six and make it a little bit bigger and heavier and more physical, and that's just not him. So, he sounds like he's been working hard according to, reports, and his attitude's all great. But as the player, you kind of see the writing on the wall. This isn't an 18-year-old. This guy's been around, guys.
Okay. All right. I'm at a few technical issues here. Sorry, Brown, did you want something else there? Are you good?
No, I 100% agree with you. There's been games. There's no way you can tell me that Brown, Henrique, Kapanen, Pakolzin, Janmark have outplayed Jeff Skinner with a consistent amount of games that has kept Skinner out of the lineup. There's no way you can say that. This is a player that from day one the coaches haven't liked, haven't trusted, and there was zero that he could do to get himself back into the good graces.
All right. That was Struddy's World, brought to you by Timber House Developments. Here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to do brownie points, but I'm going to bounce out and come back in, see if we can get my technical stuff figured out while Brownie is doing brownie points. So let's get to it. Brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky, the ultimate game day snack for those who demand bold flavor and unbeatable quality. Made using prime Alberta beef, available in 13 irresistible flavors. There is a taste for every craving, whether you like it smoky, spicy, or sweet. And for the month of March, 2 pounds of jerky, $70, and get a free bonus quarter-pound mystery flavor pack. As always, free shipping Alberta-wide. Visit albertajerky.com and enter Got Your Back for an additional 10% off. Brownie, you go about brownie points. Struds, you throw the break, and I'll get myself sorted here, boys.
Roger.
All right, let's start with Struds. We'll start with something you talked about earlier. I got 5 brownie points to Redick, Gudas, and Jackson Lacombe. The Ducks' number 1 defensive pairing was tasked with playing against the NHL's leading goal scorer, and they did pretty good. They finished the game +5. Leon and his line mates were -4. A wonderful game for Gudas and Lacombe. They were excellent in this hockey game. Let's try to find something positive so we can have something good to think about for the Edmonton Oilers. I got 100 brownie points to the Oilers' power play. The Oilers' PP was 100% today. They were 2 for 2. That would be the only positive that I saw in this hockey game for the Edmonton Oilers. I got 63 brownie points to Stan Bowman. The Edmonton Oilers are dead last in the NHL in hits, so Bowman went out and found 2 6'3" forwards, trying to make the Oilers' bottom 6 a little more physical and a little harder to play against. Good on Bowman getting creative and trying to make them a tougher team in their bottom 6. I got -4 brownie point to the sometimes all unfair stat of +-. You and I know that, Struds. There were some nights that we were excellent, and we ended up minus because of other players on the ice. Well, Matt Savoy, I thought Matt Savoy had a pretty good game tonight. I really did. He was noticeable. He had some jump. He was good on the forecheck, couple good scoring chances. Yet at the end of the night, he had a -4 beside his name. It's not always fair, +-, especially when you're a winger. He had nothing to do that I can remember on any of the goals against. But that's a tough one. Your first big game playing in Edmonton, -4. Hopefully there's a lot of plus nights coming up for Matty Savoy. And the final one, I got 12 brownie points to all the grade 12 math teachers out there. Because nowadays, when there's a trade in the National Hockey League, you will have needed to pay attention in calculus and geometry and all those math courses to understand salary retention, long-term injury reserve, all of those things. Because it's not just a trade nowadays. There's 3 teams involved. There's salary being kept by that team, salary being kept by this team. So to all you grade 12 teachers, good on you that some of the people that listen understand what's going on. I apologize to my math teacher because I have no idea when some of these trades are made how it actually works. And those, Struddy, are tonight's brownie points.
Yeah, you nailed it, buddy. I mean, +-, she's a cruel mistress. That's what my grandpa used to tell me. And you can do nothing wrong and get a bunch of minuses, but do nothing right and get a bunch of pluses. It's awful.
Yep. Good stuff. All right, Brownie,
I
thank you kindly, my friend. We'll chat in a couple of days after the Oilers and the Montreal Canadiens, pal.
Sounds good, guys.
See you, buddy.
All right, see you, pal. That was Rob Brown, and those were Brownie Points brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky. Steve-O, we're going to keep rocking and rolling here. Let's get to our core blue liners because defensemen playing in tonight's game that I definitely want to have a little bit of discussion about. And our core blue liners are brought to you by HSE Core Services. If you're a small to medium-sized business, HSE Core has your back when it comes to health and safety compliance, from creating and managing a tailored health and safety program that meets all legislative and core requirements. They support client operations every step of the way. Visit www.hsecore.com. Struds, let's chat. Little blue liner.
Yeah, Brian Dumoulin. He's been around now a little bit. Won 2 Stanley Cups with Pittsburgh. Then he kind of got on the moving train, unfortunately. But veteran D-man of both regular season and playoff games. If you're not familiar with him, he's big. He's like 6'3", 215 long, takes up a lot of space, moves the puck pretty well on a reasonable contract. His last year at $3.1 million, I think. But he is, to me, he's kind of that 4-5 guy. I don't really have him as a 4. I think he's more of a 4-5 guy for me. But he takes up space, no power play, but that's fine. He's more of a penalty killer guy. But he moves around well and defends fairly well. I wouldn't say he's a massive hitter, but he eats those minutes up, trustworthy, understands pressure. So I think he will be a valuable pickup by someone, moving into this trade deadline in 72 hours.
So I'm going to submit him as potential Oiler target potential here, bud.
Okay.
We've been talking about a left shot number 4/5 guy, maybe a 5 guy, because if the Oilers are going to go Ekholm and Bouchard, Darnell Nurse, and Brett Kulak as their top 4, you go Dumoulin, Emberson as your third pairing. Or Klingberg, but I do believe that Emberson will outplay Klingberg and be in the playoff lineup, even if the Oilers add somebody. I might submit this guy, for a lot of the reasons you just outlined. Big guy, moves pretty well, has experience. I was chatting with some of the broadcasters that travel with the Ducks, and they were saying he has been good this year and would be excellent for somebody that's heading into the playoffs to add some defensive depth. So I watched him closely tonight. I like the way he moved around out there. I didn't mind him, bud. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're going with. Now, the problem for Oilers fans, this isn't the sexiest move. There was a lot of people that would like Jacob Trouba, who's also on this team. Watching Jacob tonight, I don't think he brings kind of speed. I don't know that they get faster with him. And not that I think that Dumoulin is massively quick, but I think he moves better than Trouba out there. So I'm not sure that's exactly what they're looking for. But let's be clear. If they choose Dumoulin, or if this Dumoulin's the guy, it's clearly now Kulak is in the top 4. Clearly.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it. Because it's not Emberson, it's not Klingberg. And Klingberg becomes your 7. Stetcher 8. And then on we go down. So I don't think you have to trade for any more depth. That's it, because you have been bringing in depth over the course of the year.
So, and I guess what I'm saying is that, in the absence of dropping somebody in who is very clearly a second pairing red shot defenseman, right? Very clearly.
Mm-hmm.
In the absence of that, why not just have Kulak play there? He's been comfortable there this year. He's played there a lot. He's been really good this regular season. He's shown in the playoffs before that he has the ability to elevate. So if I'm the Oilers, I'm looking for a number 4/5 left shot guy. And so this guy to me would be, I agree, not sexy. Definitely wouldn't be someone that Oiler fans are rejoicing over, but could be serviceable and could help fit a need and realistic. Quite frankly, Struds, he's a realistic target.
Yeah. What do you think a price would be on this guy? Not a first round.
Yeah, good question. Oh, no, no.
You're retaining salary. I'm guessing you're going to have to, I guess depends on Kane's situation. That might not have clarity. So if you have to trade it twice again and retain, it gets a little expensive. as we've
Yeah,
seen.
I mean, even once, it just all depends, man. It just all depends on whether they have some space to work with or not. So, listen, we put in a request for Stan Bowman today. I'm not 100% sure if he's going to talk in the next couple of days here. We're certainly asking for him. And if and when he does talk, then we'll check in on what's going on with Evander Kane. Don't know if we'll get any answers or not, but hoping to get some clarity here. Although I don't know if that clarity is there to be found. So what will he cost? I don't know. It just depends on if the Oilers can actually take on any space or not. That was HSE's core blue liners. All right, let's take a quick break here. When we come back, take a lap, look at what else is going on around the National Hockey League, as well as ask us anything. Definitely want you to get your comments in. Steve has been monitoring the best of them, and look forward to chatting with you in a couple of minutes about that. As we go to break, though, let's check in with our young prospect, Ryan Reed, as he goes in the system, brought to you by Long Shots Indoor Golf and Sports Bar. Swing into Long Shots Golf, Sherwood Park's ultimate sports bar and golf destination. It just got even better. They're launching their brand new menu, family-friendly options as a kids menu as well. Great spot to go watch hockey games, watch whatever your favorite sport is, golf on the weekends, whatever you want to do. Long Shots is a great spot, and fantastic simulators as well. Here's Ryan Reed in the system.
The Bakersfield Condors took down the San Diego Gulls 5-4 in a shootout Saturday thanks to a Jacob Perreault game winner. Drake Kajula posted 3 points in the outing, while Connor Carrick extended his goal streak to 2 games and is now 4th in the AHL in goals among defensemen with 12. Seth Griffith posted 2 assists and is now tied for 3rd across the AHL in points with 50. Max Wanner returned for the first time since December 14th before being traded to Boston Tuesday. He missed 28 games. The Condors are now just 2 points out of a playoff spot. The Oilers received Peter Hauser in a 3-team deal on Tuesday, and the 2022 fifth-round pick has posted 2 points in his last 5 games, with Vidkovica Hockey Club in Czechia's top league. Sam O'Reilly is riding a heater, posting 3 straight multi-point games, including his first career OHL hat-trick on February 28th against Owen Sound. 2024 sixth-round pick Dallin Wakely is bumping along at a point-per-game pace in Barrie, posting 47 points including 19 goals in 47 games this campaign. He posted 104 points in 66 games last season with the North Bay Battalion. 2022 fifth-round pick Samuel Jonsson has posted a .941 save percentage over his last 2 starts and is up to a 16-5-0 record on the season with Karlskoga in Sweden. My name is Ryan Reed, and that's what's happening in the system.
Ready to go all in this season? Mr. Dirk's got you covered with express on-site tailoring, a wide selection of craftsman-made suits, sport coats, and casual staples for every occasion. Score big with Mr. Dirk. We've always got your back. Visit us off White Ave, south of 102nd Street, or browse online at mrdirk.com.
Specializing in heavy-duty commercial truck powertrain repair, performance, tuning, and part sales, Adrenaline Diesel's professional team is ready to assist you with all of your needs, from the simplest oil changes to engine conversions, overhauls, and engine modifications. Featuring an all-new online parts store and machine shop to manufacture, replicate, or repair parts, visit adrenalinediesel.ca.
All right, time now to take a couple of laps, brought to you by Acon. If you're a skilled tradesperson or construction professional looking for work in Western Canada, they want to hear from you. If you want to join Acon's team, send your resume to trades@acon.com. That's trades@acon.com. Looking for skilled tradespeople and construction professionals to join the Acon team and start building what matters today. Struds, where are we going, buddy?
Well, let's start with the signing. Jake Evans of the Montreal Canadiens was a guy that many people thought would be traded. And it according to Pierre Lebrun, it kind of cooled down the talk in recent times till Sunday when the Habs got on the horn and kind of had a number in their mind, and Jake Evans wanted to stay, and they got the deal done. So it's 4 years, 11.4 million over the total time. And it seems like that was the number that Canadians wanted, and Jake wanted to stay, so he's staying there. And that's a fairly significant kind of fourth line center piece that's off the market now, Shogger, heading into Friday.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of talk about him around trade deadline time. Lots of teams would have been very interested in adding a good, reasonably, still young, 28 years of age. But I think that the Montreal Canadiens are in this spot, Struds, like, they're piling up the wins here. They're playing really well. Not to be trifled with if you're the Edmonton Oilers a couple of nights from now, by the way. But they're playing hard. Like, they're playing hard for this coach, and they're playing hard for this year. And this guy's a real good contributor night in, night out.
Yeah, he is. He is a good player. But, you tie those guys up, and they're trying to build something there. And give Marty St. Louis credit. 5 winners of 5 in a row. They're in a fight. They're in a fight for a playoff spot, and I think that's kind of where they want it to be. Next up, the Devils. These guys, injury issues. We saw Jack Hughes get tangled up with Jack Eichel, go crashing to the boards on a 2-on-1 and a penalty kill, and not sure where he's at. They're still trying to get it evaluated and make sure it's clear, but it sounds like it's going to be a while. He's going to be out, so hopefully get clarity on that. Then in tonight's game against the Stars, Dougie Hamilton got tangled up with Mason Marchment, 20-minute-a-night defenseman, and he left with lower body injuries. So right now, both are unclear as to exact extent, but a team that's fighting, to kind of move up in the standings, I believe they're a playoff team, but those are significant pieces out of their lineup. And Jack Hughes, there's no one really knows. Could it be the rest of the regular season or more? Poor center that seems to be injured, quite a bit.
Yeah, for sure. I was on Hughes, pretty quiet at the Four Nations, I would say. Hey, like, did you notice yourself noticing him a lot?
My eyes are drawn to their defensemen. I thought their D had great tournament, all of them. No, I don't think, but if you go through their forwards, who are the guys that really stuck out? Was Austin Matthews, a monster. I think Kachuk brothers, we saw them. Larkin,
it was just
I thought
big time hockey. It was big time hockey, and I was interested to see what he might be able to conjure up. Not the biggest guy, and how will he do when the bullets are really flying in those big games?
Well, that's my concern for smaller, skilled players, right? That like to have the puck on their stick. It's tough in the playoffs, man. It gets heavy.
Yeah. We'll see what the New Jersey Devils do. Maybe they get a little bit of cap space, some breathing room here between now and the end of the year. Maybe they'll go out and spend some LTIR money if that's the way that it ends up going. That was Taking a Lap, brought to you by our friends over at Acon. Struds, let's take a look at the scoreboard, see what else was going on out there. That's brought to you by Canadian Club, the new CC Classic 18-year-old high proof, 58%, highest proof Canadian Club Classic to date. Full-bodied whiskey with aromas of caramel, toffee, spicy vanilla, and rich oak with a butterscotch finish. What else is going on out there?
10 games and none that really affect the Oilers, Shogger, which is, kind of an odd night. But we'll start close to home. The Flames beat the Flyers 6-3, still find themselves in the playoff spot. I think that's a great story. I really think it's a great story for that team trying to rebuild. The Stars, I mentioned, beat the Devils 4-3 tonight. The Ducks, we know, beat the Oilers 6-2. And then finally, the Jackets lose 6-2 to the Lightning, a team that, many people maybe feel are creating some cap space, putting Cam Atkinson on waivers.
Yeah. I want to just talk about the Calgary Flames schedule quickly here. So, where is it here? So 6-3. All right. So they have been on a very similar trip to what the Oilers were on. They basically followed the Oilers. So it was the Caps, the Lightning, the Panthers, the Canes, and then their road trip actually continued. So they ended up having to continue on against the Flyers, and then they got to go all the way to Dallas after this before they even get home. So they have been on the road here grinding for a little bit. Tough road trip, Struds, but really in the mix. And what do you think? Is there any chance for them to do any damage if they actually get into the playoffs, you think?
No, but does it really matter? Like, just
it'd be a
making
win,
the playoffs. The problem's they
Yeah.
can't score. They can't score, man. And they've scored like 161 goals. To give you an idea, the Avalanche scored 200, right? Like, so I mean, they're challenged to score. They don't have it, and I think that's something they'll try to add. Kerry Conroy will try to add or grow through their group. But the fact that they're in this, if they make it, it's a win, man. It's a win. As you're trying to rebuild on the fly, it's a win.
For sure. Sounding like maybe they won't be overly active at the deadline, want to keep their guys and give themselves a chance, and Anderson and such. And I mean, would you be good standing pat if you were them and Huska?
Well, they kind of made their move to Philadelphia, moving out Kuzmenko. I think that was a nice play. Anderson, they have to decide if they want to sign him or not. Does they want that? Because I'm guessing his extension is 7, 8, somewhere in there. It's going to be up there. Do we want to sign him to that? Yes or no? And you figure that out. But your team's in a playoff spot. That's a tough one to decide in 3 days. Maybe that's a summertime one.
Yeah. All right, that was our scoreboard brought to you by Canadian Club. Steve-O, why don't you jump in here, buddy? Let's wrap up our YouTube Golf Shop poll as we get to our Ask Us Anything segment. What are you just rolling animations for fun there, buddy? What are we doing?
I'm just having a good time over here.
That's okay. Just grab the YouTube poll. Don't worry about it, man.
I will
You're
absolutely
good. Dial
do
it
the
in.
poll. Okay, so the answer of the poll. So again, the question was, what do you think of the Frederick trade? Coming in, the highest was it's fine at 61%.
Okay.
So yeah, most fans just okay with it. Next was I love it. So 29% of fans love it. And then only 7% said I don't love it, and 4% I hate it. So the vast majority of fans really enjoying that trade.
I think that makes sense. I think a lot of fans are hoping that there is more. Please just don't say that's going to be it. I think if that were an option, it would be like it, but don't say that's going to be it. That probably would have been the most picked one. We chose not to make that an option on purpose because we knew the way that was going to go. Let's see what the people are saying, Steve-O. Let's get to Ask Us Anything, brought to you by Mortgages by Maria. So bank rates continuing to drop. Any questions that you have right now about your mortgage, give Maria a call. She does a great job. Maria Gallus with Maximal Mortgages. It just feels like there's some uncertainty out there right now. And I've had that conversation with her. What does all this stuff going on in the political world mean? Do we lock in? Do we not? What does it mean for interest rates and mortgages and all that kind of stuff? Maria is always great at any point in time to give her a call. She can talk you through what your different options are. So highly recommend you go see or call Maria Gallus of Maximal Mortgages.
Okay.
Steve-O, what are the people saying, buddy?
Well, first, let's just bust through some comments on Struddy's location because they're just so good. So, yeah, Davin says Struddy's on the set of the new Paranormal Activity movie.
Not bad.
Statue Boss Productions. Struddy looks like John McClane crawling through the ducks.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Zuby chiming in before he left for his hockey game and saying Struddy's in the movie Cube 3.
What's Cube 1 and 2?
I don't know. It's such a deep Struddy or a deep Zuby poll. This one made me laugh. Floating tea leaves said, I think I see a long-haired ghost behind Struddy.
Right.
And then my favorite one for sure. Let's see if I can pull this up. I put a lot of work into this bad boy. Struddy, if you could just sort of look down a little bit and put your eyes up. This came from Boba Fett said Strud's looking like he's channeling the Phil Collins No Jacket Required album cover.
That's actually pretty well done.
Well done, Steve-O. Well done, sir.
Yeah, doing my best. So anyway, that's the fun stuff.
I love it.
No, enough fun. Let's get to what people are actually.
Get back to the misery. There you
the
go.
misery. It's time. So let's go to Zuby. Actually, so Zuby says, "Ask us anything. Do you think the team has any reaction to the coach repeatedly referring to them as fragile?"
I don't think that he's saying anything he hasn't talking to them about in their room, right? Because they know I believe they're waiting for something bad to happen to them. When things don't, when you're feeling good, it doesn't matter. You get down. We've seen this team down by 2-3 goals and come back. But when you're even up by 1, you're waiting for something bad to happen. So they got to find their confidence.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying it in the room too, quite frankly. delicate or getting down. They know it about themselves. So I don't know if it'd be bothering them so much, but it's definitely, I wouldn't have pegged them to have turned into this earlier. They were a resilient group earlier on in the year. Remember, they were coming back all the time, guys, and now they just crater.
Neil Garrity says, why does the team practice with lines that they don't play in games? Nuge plays second line center more than Draisaitl does.
I don't think they do that.
I was wondering. I didn't know.
Yeah, I don't think they do that. So if you're talking about maybe what you saw yesterday for lines, it was an incomplete skate. Not everybody was out there. Noblock doesn't. He generally will practice in the lines he intends on playing on the next game. Jay Woodcroft got into the habit of, in playoff series, practicing in different lines than he was playing in. And I think I got on him for it a little bit on previous podcasts. I don't find that Noblock does that purposely, though.
All right. Let's go to an interesting one from the Cole Train. I don't know if you guys know much about this, but he's wondering what teams have the best athletic therapists or support staff in the league.
I played on a few teams, and honestly, I can say they're all great. They're not just medical or equipment staff. They're also psychologists, because a lot of times when things aren't going well, you vent to them, and then they just take it. And you're not yelling at them, but they kind of help you and talk you through it. And all the teams I played, I thought they were incredible. I'm still in touch with many of them to this day.
Right on. Four Oilers says, would you give a first away to get Holloway back from the Blues?
They wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Holloway would be great on this team right now. Yeah. He's a good young player. And I mean, if the Blues were trading Dylan Holloway, would a first round pick be what the asking price is in the range of? Yeah, I think it would be.
What did it take for Hagel? Wasn't it 2 firsts?
Yeah.
I don't think a first gets
a while back.
Let's be honest.
Think it'd be more?
I do. I mean, look at what's his nuts. Tanner Jeannot was 4. Wasn't it first, second, third, and fourth?
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy how far Holloway has come here in this year.
Yeah. Well, Gord
Pachuski. A lot of reflection on that in the stream. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah. And so Gord says, say what you want about McLeod, Holloway, even Fogle. Those boys always looked like they cared and were having fun almost every night.
Yeah. Let's be honest, guys. They won a Stanley Cup run last year, so let's not, do they look like they're having fun at the beginning of the year? Right. I think we got to remember the facts as they were presented. And I think this team was having some fun at the, up till about a month ago. And now they've come on hard times. And look at the Kings. I think the Kings have lost 4 or 5 in a row, haven't they? I think they had, or at least recently they had. Last time I checked.
And the fun comes out of it a little bit. I also think, we need to be a little bit careful about too much revisionist history in terms of the order that things happened. Like that free agency day, most of what the Oilers did, I mean, we were listening to the signings come in, right? And it's Arvidsson and they're re-signing guys and Janmark and this and that. Remember Henrique? We were all like, what the heck? Holy smokes, right? The one that was maybe a little bit was Skinner. So they re-signed Skinner and you kind of go, that was the one that put him right tight to the cap. And you kind of go, okay, well, what's this going to mean? Yikes. What about Holloway? What about what's going to happen here? That was the one that to me was a little bit too much. And then when you make the decision, I was okay when they traded Ryan McLeod. I was okay when they decided that Warren Fogle wasn't going to be worth that money and it was going to be Arvidsson instead. I was okay with those decisions. But when those 2 decisions were made, they still had Dylan Holloway. I never would have suggested trading Ryan McLeod if I'd have known they weren't going to have Dylan Holloway. Never. It's the combination of all those things happening that makes all of them on their own look bad. But that's the way it all rolled out, Struddy. That Holloway thing, after already losing, after Fogle moves on and after the McLeod trade is done, it was one too many.
Yeah. And the Broberg guy was cast when they didn't get him a spot this summer before. right? That decision was made.
Aaron St. Pierre says, I heard Ekholm is sick. How long does that last? 2 months? I don't think it's been 2 months, but
well, he's been sick for a while. Yeah. I mean,
while.
he was losing his voice well before the Four Nations, and he was sick. I think he missed a game even back then. And then I ran into him at the Four Nations. I was interviewing him, and I chatted with him after, and his voice was still gone. I saw him this morning and asked him if it was back yet. It was like, wasn't quite fully back yet. He took yesterday off the ice. He didn't play the last, we should have mentioned that, didn't play the last, I think 6 or 8 minutes of the game tonight, and then didn't do media because he was getting treatment, Strud. So he's been banged up. I feel like Matthias Ekholm needs some time off here, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not sure he's going to want to take it, right now. And I'm not sure what he had, but I was sick for quite a while, and I could, I'm working out, and I can tell you I do not feel the same as I did a month ago, and I'm not in great shape, obviously, compared to them. But it tends to linger around.
Yeah, for sure.
Matt Blom's been waiting probably months to say this.
Blommer.
Finally laid the grenade in the chat today. He said Demko to the Oil would be high risk, but ...
What are we doing here?
Blom, don't
The Blominator just
Blommer.
Dropping the Blom grenade on the chat here, eh?
Yeah, at 90% retained. Like I right now he's injury prone. So I just, you don't need that. At his top, he's great. There's no doubt about it. But injury prone is not something the others need.
Blommer's normally pretty on point, but
it was a funny
Blom bomb.
Blom bomb.
All right,
margarita
couple
Tuesday
more
night drinks.
Couple more. We got to get out of here.
All right. Ooh, Pop X says Podkolzin should be out there hitting anything that moves when the game is out of reach. Noblock should be making that crystal clear to him.
Yeah, and I think he's got to recognize that.
I mean, what did Podkolzin finish with hits? I mean, I saw him trying to finish checks in the third period of that game. At least he thinks about it and tries every now and then. He's the only one you don't need to tell. How about mention it to someone else? How about mentioning it to a few other guys on the bench when they get 3 straight goals and your bench is sagged and you go, hey, fellas, maybe finish a check. That might get few of you invested a little bit, or no? Is that not something that I don't know. Anyway, don't get me started. Just, he's the last guy you need to tell that to. He's the only one that does it, for God's sakes.
All right, well, let's end with one that made me laugh. Another Gord Parszewski one-liner. He said, we have so many guys who could use a night or two in the press box to see if it could wake them up. We'd need a bigger press box.
Bigger press box, yeah. Lots of space up there. By the way, Troy Stetcher, who is well known to be a heck of a nice dresser, he had a whopper of a suit on tonight. Unreal. That guy, Struds, has sneaky style. Really styling.
Oh, wow. Nice. That's quite a compliment coming from you.
Little report. Report from the press box there, buddy.
Love it.
All right. That was Ask Us Anything. Awkward finish to Ask Us Anything, brought to you by Maria Gallus. Sorry about that, Maria. Oh, boy. I'm tired. It's been a while since we've done one of these home game, post game ones. It's a little bit of a later night. So let's wrap it up with our play of the day. Gallery Dental's got your play of the day. The first step towards a stress-free dental experience, providing modern dentistry for today's patient with the most up-to-date dentistry, sedation, implants, and so much more. Contact gallerydentalYEG.com. Struds?
Yeah, this one's coming in via Twitter with Gino Hard, and he talks about how in Denver tonight is a really cool moment. Former Humboldt Broncos survivor Lane Matachuk dropped the puck between Crosby and McKinnon, two of his favorite players. Very, very cool moment.
Yeah, this is really amazing. And so Lane Matachuk, he had a tough go after this whole thing happened. And to see him standing there, dropping this puck, being between those guys, that is incredibly meaningful stuff. Love that. Absolutely love that to death, and sending out best wishes to him and his family, and all the Bronco families. They'll all have a smile on their face watching that tonight. Love that for play of the day, brought to you by Gallery Dental. Struds, I'm making plans here on how we're going to settle this chip thing. I'm thinking we need to actually take a full segment and just actually have a debate on
Agreed.
the Ripple chips versus like a full debate. And you can make your case. Steve, I'm not sure if you heard that disaster of a conversation.
Yeah. I sent in that Chat GPT screenshot, remember?
Yeah.
To the chat.
Oh, yeah.
I chimed
you send that into our group chat, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll save that for debate night because that is evidence.
That was evidence.
Also, I'll have you know, Struds, I had somebody reach out on Twitter. Works in the business. Actually works in the business.
Right.
That might be part of my presentation as well. I don't know when we're going to do it. Maybe not next show. Maybe the night of the trade deadline show. Because we're only going to be talking about the trades for so long. Maybe we'll schedule it for that night. The great Ripple chip debate here on Got Your Back.
Yeah, and just your friend who works in the business, it's too emotional. He's too close to it. You need someone who's removed. So I would remove his testimony right now. Strike it from the record.
You are absolutely not. You are not striking my evidence from the case 2 days before. No chance.
It won't be admissible. And I'll make a case on that. I'll make a case just on that.
Right. Night of the trade deadline, because there might not be a lot else to be talking about. So we'll get to that then. Okay, good job, guys. Steve, great to see you, buddy. Good job tonight, my friend.
Yeah,
Thanks,
good job,
boys.
bud.
Good time.
See you guys later.
All right. And thanks to all of you for joining us on the live stream tonight, or if you've downloaded us in podcast form, we really appreciate it. Thanks for being along for the ride here on Got Your Back. Don't forget, Struddy's World, Episode 3. Dropping tomorrow, 12 to 1 o'clock Mountain Time. Struds and Zuby. Noodles will be joining. I'll check in from Oiler practice. So, hey, man, we got so much content coming your way. Keep her tuned to our socials, and we'll be talking again real soon. Cheers. A big old cheers, everyone. You see Ronnie Oceanfront?